This is the brand new Nikon Zr, a full-frame Nikon mirrorless camera with ability to record red color science RAW files. It's a first in a Nikon and first for red to be available in a non-red camera. And I'm going to tell you what it's like shooting with it from a perspective of an architectural photographer, videographer, and a time-lapse content creator. Let's start by switching to the red now. Unfortunately, it's not quite a fair comparison because it's London and there's a cloud now and the sun has completely disappeared. There's no shadows, so can't judge the dynamic range. But what I can judge is the absolutely massive LCD that's to the side. I love it. It's probably the best LCD that I've seen on any mirrorless camera or just video camera, to say that. It's beautiful. And even if you don't want to shoot the red files, which are absolutely massive, they're bigger than the LCD, hey, you can use that monitor to vlog beautifully, seeing everything perfectly there, or just judge your professional video quality. You do not need an additional monitor to verify your footage. You just use that. Okay, the sun is back, so I decided to redo this shot. So, you know, it's London. Sometimes you do not need to shoot log or raw because you get a beautiful flat profile on a daily basis. Unlike today, where sometimes we have beautiful blue sky and the 5 minutes later it's completely cloudy. But let's get on with this review. Let's go. At the time of this recording, the only way I can edit the red RAW files is in the Premiere Beta. I think it's 26 something. The current Premiere doesn't support it yet, but you can edit them in DaVinci, which I don't use that often, so I prefer to be in Premiere. So Beta it is. It works. If you're a Adobe Creative Plan subscriber, you can use the Beta one. So that's what I'm using. And what it's like shooting pretty much directly against the sun, well, let's see. I'm not good at modeling. I wanted to say a bad word, but I'm not gonna. But the question is, do you need to shoot in RAW video or have a 17mm tilt shift lens for that perfect shot when you need to point up and do not distort your vertical lines? No, you don't. But it does look cool, doesn't it? So for clients, I think there's a reason to actually use it. So yeah, red files are cool. They look absolutely beautiful, but I want to see if there's a difference compared to the Nikon RAW video files. So this is me standing here on the red file from the Zr, and this guy, thanks Michael, yeah, I'm in the plain Nikon RAW video files. So are they much different? Because that's something I was actually quite curious about. So yeah. And we are back on the red RAW files. New section of the development around Greenwich Peninsula is rising, looking cool. I like it. More skyscrapers that way. This whole place is gonna change like crazy in the next few years, and I do like it. Like Greenwich Peninsula is a cool place. I come here often. Peninsula Gardens is what this place is called, and we've got a nice water feature. Some of the sky over there. I'm wondering if I will be able to recover the highlights there, because it kind of like looked on the edge, which in a non-RAW video probably I wouldn't be able to do. There's a plane flying, so the audio is debatable. But yeah, RAW video's got its challenges, but it can look pretty because I did test it before shooting this video. So it's not for everyone, it's not for every situation, and you definitely will need to invest in more storage for the files. But from time to time, or when you need to, it might just be the right choice. One of the things that unfortunately Nikon isn't class leading is the stabilisation in video. Even though now you can dial the exact focal length of the lens you're shooting on, like I am shooting now on a 9mm, which wasn't previously available. Now I could dial that perfectly in. 9mm never really stabilizes perfectly, especially when you're shooting handheld, and I'm shooting it really at a hand's distance. Now in 10-bit H.265 in NRAW, for certain wide-angle focal lenses, you should really use a gimbal or walk crazy slow like a ninja. The previous clip was in sport, while this one is in stabilization on, so standard. I'm wondering if I am just walking a bit more cautiously and it doesn't shake, but I can still see the edges, yeah, shake a lot. So yeah, the wobble on a Nikon is real. Don't use crazy wide angles. Stabilization is much better around 24 and upwards, and it's actually really good because the Nikon stabilization kind of works like a photo stabilization, where you point to something, it will actually hold that frame. When you move and pan, it doesn't do that well. So there's limitations to every system. You know, some systems are better for some things, and I believe Nikons are better for other things. Stabilization isn't one of them. We are now on the 14-30 f4 at handheld distance. I'm literally just holding the lens because it's now in self-portrait mode. You don't have to worry that when you are holding the lens you will like move the focus or ring and suddenly it will go out of focus. No, that's just completely disabled, and yeah, you can just hold the lens. So if you actually go to 24mm, I can hold it somewhat steady and walk with it, and I think the stabilization is way better than it was on the 9mm. Of course it would be. 30mm I guess is doable for vlogging, but it feels quite tight in my opinion. I like vlogs to be a little bit wider than this. 14mm, even though it might shake a bit more with the sport or on stabilization, is probably the sweet spot preference of mine for vlogging. It's wide enough that shows your surroundings somewhat. F4 offers enough separation to make it look a little bit more cinematic and unlike anything shot on a phone these days. While the second choice is probably my 20mm 1.8. Honestly, can't believe the fact that I started this video like less than 2 hours ago and it was like beautiful sunshine, and within 2 hours it's not just gone to like full-on log profile, but also it's raining. Welcome to London. Okay, we are back on the non-RAW H.264 4K footage. No, right? So pathetic. No, don't be silly. You don't always have to shoot RAW. The Nikon Zr with the red RAW quality is superb. It looks absolutely fantastic. But yeah, the files are huge and you don't always have to shoot it. However, what's the Zr like to use as a camera? Well, it's got some flaws compared to, for example, the Z6 III, which I absolutely love using. But there's like absolute huge benefits, starting with, honestly, the RAW files are beautiful, but this is not the number one reason why I love this camera. It is honestly the LCD. The LCD, when you go back from this LCD to monitoring on the camera that I'm shooting on right now, I'm like, what is this miniature, tiny little thing? How can I see any footage through this? And yet before it was just normal. So honestly, once you get used to this LCD, it's just like, there's no going back. Otherwise, it's the red RAW files, you know, everything else is pretty much the same as Z6 III in terms of the focus speed, probably the capabilities of the full frame sensor. But there's obviously a redesign of the buttons, of the whole body. It's like 100 grams lighter, as if anyone cares. Honestly, I would have probably preferred this camera to be in the body of Z6 III, but they wanted to make it lighter. I do not love this tiny little grip, so ideally I would get at some point some sort of a cage with a bigger grip on the side. There's a lack of buttons. I would want to have a little bit more buttons here on the back, like the Z6 III has the AF on-off button, which I use rather than the shutter button. I've redesigned what I wanted in my 1, 2, 3 custom buttons. Even the rec button I used for autofocusing, and the shutter button I use only for on and off start and stop of video. So yeah, I could do with a bit more buttons, kind of like a Z6 III. I actually like the button layout, the design of where the buttons are. So it takes time getting used to this. In terms of its weight, yeah, you don't really feel it being any lighter. I mean, that 100 grams makes absolutely no difference. It takes the same battery, so yes, I've got loads of them. I like that. It takes the CF cards. I don't know, the idea of the micro SD is, don't know what that is for. Yeah, I'm just going to record everything to the CF cards. Where the microphone and headphones input is, I obviously don't like, because then it just hits that when you move the LCD. You have to kind of go to the side here, go under it, and then kind of like go almost there. So it's not ideal. It is a small body, so they had to squeeze it in somewhere. Obviously, they wouldn't want to do it on the right, because that's where the grip is going to be. I do not have the new microphone that goes straight into the hot shoe and doesn't require cables. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I would like to explore the options that Nikon's going to release for this newly designed hot shoe. Hopefully, maybe some audio monitoring with additional places to like put your microphones in and out from the top rather than from the side. That would be cool. I do not like the fact that I am missing a dedicated button for the menu. You have to hold this for a second or two to then get into the proper menus rather than the I menus. So yeah, there's things I don't like about this camera, and everything else I do like about it. Lack of EVF, well, you know, I do use the EVF sometimes when filming videos of just, obviously not me, I don't film that all the time, but the EVF is really a much better quality than the LCD on all other Z6 III, Z6 IIs, so I do use that from time to time when I'm filming handheld. Not having that, not a major flaw, but this is probably where the cost savings were, because this camera is actually much cheaper than the Z6 III. You can obviously shoot standard photos with it, with all the autofocus and RAW capabilities like a Z6 III, Z6 II, and it will have probably the same autofocus speeds and burst modes in RAW capabilities as the Z6 III, because it's basically a Z6 III sensor and all the computing in a rehoused, redesigned, lighter, cheaper body. Nikon has loaned me this ZR, but I do have a Nikon ZF that I'm honestly rarely ever using. Sometimes I was bringing in as an additional body on time-lapse shoots, and most likely I will just get rid of that body, sell it, top up a little bit after selling a used one, and get this one, because this one will now be my main video camera, while I will dedicate the Z6 III and Z6 II and Z6 I. Yeah, that's my main full frame bodies. I also have a couple of Z30s for time-lapse reasons. Anyway, yes, a lot of bodies, but with time-lapses I set up multiple bodies and the clients get multiple angles of time-lapses on a single shoot. So yeah, and then I could shoot video with a dedicated video Nikon camera. So that's why the plethora of bodies. To summarize, honestly, people get overexcited about the red capabilities of this camera, and I mean, it is amazing, but it's the same sensor as the Z6 III had, so I am not expecting it to be like phenomenally better. If they design a specific sensor to go in the next Nikon Red collaboration camera, that will be it. That will be the one. I don't want to go into too much detail with regards to frame rates and capabilities and resolutions. That everything is online and other people do these kind of video reviews. This is my just feel of this camera, how I like it, what I don't like about this camera. And one of these things is maybe the lack of it being able to shoot open gate in RAW or in any other format. It just shoots the 16:9. If I am to be negative about one thing about this LCD, yes, it's the jealousy of some of the competitors that have their LCD do all sorts of variations, flips, and, you know, angles. Like this one doesn't want to do just flip up like the Z6 II could, but then the Z6 II couldn't do flip out. So yeah, if something can be improved, maybe, you know, Nikon allowed RAW video capabilities to other companies. Maybe they will allow Nikon the multi-versatile LCD pattern. It's all about how this camera feels and how this camera shoots and operates, and I do like it. I like the LCD. I like that it's slightly lighter. I will like it even more when I get a proper cage grip maybe for it. and something that will probably be attached to the hot shoe at some point, maybe with additional audio inputs and audio monitoring levels. That would be pretty cool, Nikon, if you're listening. That would really make this a video-centric camera that more videographers would be interested in. The red is a temptation that everyone is looking now towards Nikon to get, because these files are absolutely beautiful. But for me, it is honestly that LCD. It is the biggest LCD I've ever had on a mirrorless camera or any other DSLR that opened, flipped, and it is beautiful. The quality of it, the resolution, the size. And I think that's it. I'm going to return this, sell my Nikon ZF, and get myself one of these, because that will now be my main video camera.